UMass Boston is hosting this year's National Indoor Track and Field Championship for the Division III. To tell us about the event, being held at the Reggie Center in Roxbury, is the university's Vice Chancellor, Athletics and Recreation, and Special Projects and Programs, Charlie Titus. Thank you very much for being with us, John.
Thank you for having me, Chris. Appreciate it.
First of all, this is a first for Boston, National Division III Track and Field for the NCAA. How big a deal is this?
It's a huge deal. You probably have over 260 schools participating out of the 450 schools in Division III. You will have the top track athletes in the division here in Boston. So you probably have, we expect anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 athletes. And in total, with athletes, coaches, and fans, there'll probably be an influx that weekend of about 3,000, 3,500 people to the city.
Why did UMass want to be the host here?
Well, we've been an NCAA school for a long time. This is the 35th anniversary of our first national track championship, which we won back in '85. And since then, we've had 127 track All-Americans in Division III. We've won 7 national championships in women's track. We are the defending women's track national champions from last year. So it all made sense to us. We put in a bid. We partnered with the City of Boston, the Greater Boston Convention and Tourism Bureau, the Reggie Track Center. So it was a great collaboration. Got a lot of support from the mayor, got a lot of support from the governor's office. And I think it's a great thing for the city. It's certainly really good for our institution to be hosting such a prestigious event. So we're pretty happy with it.
Well, for people who haven't gone to see an event like this, I imagine you must have at some stage or another. What's it like?
Well, you know, it's interesting because track athletes don't get the same kind of fan attention that basketball, or say football or baseball will. So at track, you mostly see family, friends, and supporters of the athletes. These are athletes who are competing against themselves, against time, and of course another competitor. They put in a lot of time and effort, so the skill that you see with track athletes as they run their races, whether they be sprints or distance, I think it's very exciting to watch the high jump, the long jump, the hammer throw, the short put. So if you haven't had the experience, I think that people would enjoy it, and they really should come out and take a look. There's a lot of activity going on throughout the track. There's events in the center of the track, there's events around the track, there's throwing pits off to the side. So it's a very active, interactive kind of sporting event that I think people would enjoy.
You know, I'm sure people who have a son or a daughter competing will be right down there cheering them on. Yeah. But for people in the city, if you're raising kids and maybe the kids are showing some interest in track and field, what about them? Would it be something for them to take into?
I think it certainly would. Listen, it's for the whole sessions, all the sessions, it's $20 for a ticket. So that's we start at 10 o'clock on Friday. We'll probably end at 9 on Friday. We'll start again at 10 o'clock on Saturday. We hope to wrap up by 6 o'clock on Saturday. You can buy a ticket for the whole session and just go and come as you please. And if there's certain events that you want to see, you can go watch those and then come back. We'll have the schedule posted. I think for kids it's exciting, for young kids, particularly young kids, to witness in person a great track meet. You know, we pay a lot of attention to track when the Olympics come around. And of course, that's the top, that's the creme de creme. But it's just as exciting to watch these Division III athletes who put so much time in to hone their skills. So it's just as exciting to come and watch them perform also.
What about the importance of sports at UMass? I mean, I remember the early days out in the Harbor campus, and Kit Clark was trying to get a recreation facility there for the community. How important is that?
Well, it's extremely important. You know, it's good. It's interesting that you mentioned Kit Clark. If it wasn't for Kit Clark, we would not have an athletic facility. She was on the board of trustees at the time that the campus was built in 1974. Then Governor Dukakis and Secretary of Education Paul Parks made a decision, because we were a commuter school, we probably didn't need a big athletic facility. So the one that was planned, they took out and didn't build it. And Kit was outraged, and she actually sued the governor and won. And so the Athletic Center got built, and it was open in 1981, and it is the Catherine Forbes Clark Athletic and Recreation Center. We have an extensive community athletic and recreation program where people from the community can come and buy a membership, and they can come and use the facilities with that membership. Our student athletes have an extensive community program, and we do a number of clinics for kids in the community. We allow we lease the use of our facilities. So, for example, South Boston Youth Hockey plays in there. Dorchester Youth Hockey plays in there. There are a number of youth basketball leagues. It's the home ice and home pool for BC High. It's the home pool for Notre Dame Academy. So beyond the use that our students and faculty and staff get out of it, the entire community uses our facility quite a bit.
Well, you played basketball in college, but by profession you're an educator. So how did sports get you to where you wanted to go?
Well, it was interesting. I grew up in Columbia Point Housing Project, and I came from a single-parent household. So college was something that we talked about a lot growing up, and it was an expectation. The only problem was we didn't have any money. So I got there through sports. I got a scholarship to go and play basketball at St. Michael's, and that paid for my education. So it's been really important. It also was a way when I was growing up to keep me occupied. My mother actually participated as a little league baseball coach because she wanted me occupied. And she knew baseball. She was a big fan, but she didn't know a lot about coaching, but she did it anyway. So sports has been an important part of my life. I think that sports is a great avenue for a lot of youngsters in terms of physical skills, exercises. We do have a problem in this country with youth obesity. Sports can tackle that. It's an opportunity for youngsters to be occupied as opposed to hanging out on the streets or being plugged into the computers and that kind of stuff. It's unplug, let's go play a game. It also is a way that youngsters can get to college. It's a way to socialize. And I think most importantly, it teaches a number of critical skills like being a part of a team or a group, organization, dedication, commitment, keeping schedules and those kinds of things. So I think it's tremendously important in the development of young people.
As I'm sure you know, sports is a big industry, lots of money for big name athletes, but for other people too, there's something to go after. I guess UMass is trying to play off of that maybe?
Yeah, we've been working on a bachelor's degree in sports leadership that we hope to, and plan to implement the first cohort in September of 2019. And it's an opportunity and another pathway for youngsters to experience and learn about the various careers in sports. When you talk about the sports industry, which is a multi-billion-dollar industry if you take the whole thing, so you've got the shoe and apparel part of it, you've got the pro sports part of it, you've got the college part of it, you've got community sports and recreation, YMCA, Boys and Girls Club. There are all kinds of jobs, and in the digital age, there are new jobs that have sort of come into the sports world, analytics, digital media, social media. So there are a myriad of opportunities that we plan to expose young people to while giving them leadership skills as they go through our bachelor's program.
Finally, we should leave with a reminder about when and where the track event's happening, or at least where people can get some more details.
The track event is March 8th and 9th. It's at the Reggie Lewis Center in Roxbury, which is on Columbus Ave at Roxbury Community College. The first events kick off at 10 o'clock on Friday morning, March 8th, and they'll run right through the evening until about 9 o'clock we'll wrap up. And then on Saturday, we will kick off again at 10 a.m. and wrap up hopefully by 6 p.m.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Appreciate being here and appreciate you having me. Good to see you too, Chris.
Okay, thank you, Charlie. Charlie Titus from UMass Boston. We'll have more news in just a moment.